From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Becoming Thin podcast, and I am your host, Chris Terrell, and welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through, and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now. Don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles, after all. Now, if you're new here, I've lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, up again. Before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired and fat and made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all 6 of those things that create the results in my life, and if I wanted to get new results in my life, I was going to have to go change those 6 things on a real level. And I'm here each week to help you make changes in your life that are going to actually stick. Stick forever, stick for good. I know you don't want to take a round trip ticket to Thinville. You want a one-way trip ticket to Thinville. Why? Because you plan to move there, set up shop, let everything behind you go. But it's scary. It's scary to do that. It's scary to set off going, is this the time? Is this the time I do it? You see, there's always got to be a first time. And some of y'all, your first time came way later in life after a whole bunch of failed attempts. And that is okay. But there's always got to be a first time. And just because you failed a bunch does not mean this will not be your first time. But with that being said, I have had the privilege of working hand in hand with many, many, many people seeking to lose all their weight and go from being morbidly obese to thin and everything in between, even super morbidly obese to thin. It's a long journey. It takes time, and it is in fact easy to lose weight, but difficult to change and transform. And on this wonderful job that I have, I get insights, personal insights into people's stories, insights that people don't often share with each other. And I get to see what is common that maybe people don't think is so common. But I also get to see these unmentionables, these roadblocks that for whatever reason are off limits, and yet they are sometimes the very thing keeping a person from achieving the success that they desire. And this week, as I was deciding what to talk about in the podcast, I had this idea that just would not leave my head all day today. And I hemmed and hawed about it, and I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's talk about 5 roadblocks that people do not want to acknowledge that are real. I'm talking, these are the ones that I'm a little afraid to even talk about them to you, because sometimes some people are like, no, Chris, you can't say this because people can come blast me in the comments. But I think most people, if they hear this, you can be like, oh, damn, he said it. I mean, it's true. I don't disagree, but damn, we're not supposed to talk about this out loud. We're not supposed to say this. We're supposed to just live with it in silence and suffer. Be like, sucks to be me. I made one wrong choice when I was 25, and now I got to live with it forever. And I'm 55, still living with this same stupid choice that naive, young 24 or 25-year-old me made. And so we can't talk about things because some people think you're not allowed to change. You're not allowed to go, whoopsies, made a mistake, time to undo it. But sometimes these mistakes that you made when you were much younger are the very reason why you are fat, out of shape, unhealthy, and unhappy. And if you want to change those things, until you get this thing out of your way, you're going to keep finding yourself right back there. So we're going to talk about them. I got 5. There's more than 5, but I wrote down 5. 5 that I think are among the most common. They're not in an order, so they're in no particular order. But before I jump into this list, if you're not a member of my free Facebook group, the Becoming Thin Facebook group, I'd love to have you come join. We just crossed 7,000 members. Thank you to all of you that came and joined. We just crossed it. Hallelujah. It's been great to have this grow. I'd love to have you be a part of it. Just search for Becoming Thin on Facebook. You'll find it with black background and yellow letters. Also, if you want to get more content and you like the podcast and you want to get it for free, head on over to YouTube and search for Becoming Thin. You can find the Becoming Thin YouTube channel where I go live there every Monday morning at right around 9-ish a.m. And for about an hour, love to have you come join there. You can interact with me in the comments. As also, we do weekly wins. It's turning into a real fun segment, and I'm very much enjoying where we celebrate people's wins and victories from the previous week. So I'd love to have you come be a part of that. Let's talk about the first one. A controlling or overly demanding job or a job that you hate. So many people, the reason why they're overweight is because they get up every day and they drag their miserable butt to a job that they hate. They don't like it. They haven't liked it for a long time. Or they like the job, but they hate the customers. The customers are rude, mean, and obnoxious, but they love the work and they love their team that they work with, we'll say. Some people, they love the customers. They love the work, but their boss is an absolute ass. Totally controlling, totally domineering, totally unreasonable. Sometimes you like the work, you like your team, you like your boss, but the pay is just garbage. You are so underpaid, but you love everything else. Sometimes you're in the job. You like the people, you like the pay, you like the team, you like your boss, but the work is boring to you now because you've been doing it for so long and it's just so boring. It's like, oh boy, let's solve the same set of problems this year as we did last year, just with different names and faces. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds fun. And no, but you go back. Why? Because I got this retirement I put all my money in, or I've got this team that I've been working with forever, or this is the only job in my area that I live in that allows me to do this, so there's nowhere I can go. And so what do? We get up every day, you go to this job, and then you come home, and you're miserable, and you're just like, I'm going to do something fun, and you solve it with food. I mean, think about your job. Think about how much time of your life you spend at your job. Isn't it kind of interesting that some people will spend 20 or 30 years doing work they hate? Did you ever stop and consider that this is why you're fat and why you're out of shape? It's because of your job. Look, not everybody listening. This does not apply to all of you. There are plenty of you that this one doesn't apply. Don't worry, I got 4 more, so one of the other 4 might apply to you. But this first one, for many of you, does not apply. But for some of y'all, you're like, oh, damn, Chris is seeing right into my soul and seeing exactly what I'm going through. For me, this was it. My job, I didn't like it. There was a lot about it I didn't like, but I loved the team I worked with. I loved my customers. I'd also, the sunken cost fallacy, I'd put so much of my time and effort and energy and life into it. I felt like I had to stay. Who would I be if I went and did something else? And then I ended up having to do a career change because I had to get real honest with myself and realize I don't even like doing this career. I don't even like the line of work that I'm in anymore. I don't like this. I don't want to do it. I don't think I'm meant to do this for the rest of my life. But so many people, they hear that call, and you know what they do? They go back home and they ignore that call. And then they go back to work. Rinse, repeat, year in, year out. Looking gleefully forward to, when I retire and I don't got to do this job anymore. It's like, yeah, but now you're so fat, unhealthy, and out of shape and miserable, you can't even enjoy the retirement. Or maybe you get there and you got to spend the first 5 to 7 years of your retirement fixing your broken body that you just totally neglected so that you could keep doing this job that you hate. To work for this boss that drives you nuts, that you would never want to be in this person's presence. If you left this job, you would go, I'd never think of this person ever again except to think negatively of them. There's nothing about this person I like. They're an irredeemable person in my eyes. Right. So you keep going home and eating so you can go back and work with this person every day. Or maybe the work itself is just terrible, but the pay is great. But you can't enjoy the pay because you're so miserable every time you go home. So why are you doing this job again? Oh, right, because you're too scared to face yourself. You're too scared to put yourself out there and see what'll happen. You might be thinking, I'll make it worse if I touch it. How do you know? You might make it better. You probably will make it better if you touch it and go try to make it better than it could be. If you hate your boss, you need a new job. You can't change your boss. That's not a battle you're likely to win. You just need a new job. You need to leave. Well, no, I can't leave because of blah, 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 blah. I assure you, every single blah, 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 blah is overcomeable. Whatever they are. I don't even need to know what it is. Whatever you would put in the blah, 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 that is overcomeable and solvable. It might take you 2 years to solve it. Who cares? Who cares? 2 years to solve it? Big whoop. Big whoop. 2 years. It's 2 years to solve it and then it's over. Or deal with it for another 20 years before you can retire with your broken body. That's easy math. Easy math. Or it's the only job I can get in the area that I live. Move. Just move to another area with a better job. Our ancestors have been moving to follow work forever. This is a very human, normal thing. No, I shouldn't have to move. I should be able to stay right where I live, some people say. Well, great. You can live in your random fantasy land where the world doesn't work that way, and you can continue to be unhappy because you refuse to accept reality. That's the reality for some of you. It is your job that is stopping you from losing weight and keeping it off because your job keeps making you emotionally eat. And you won't change it. You keep going, how can I leave this miserable, massive part of my life intact and I just not emotionally eat? Like, that's a terrible question. I mean, you could try to solve it. Go for it. Have fun. See how that works out for you. But I tried for a long time. It didn't work. Let's move to the next one. We're just going to do a sudden abrupt changes. So, your job. Next one. We're going to switch from the job to the home front. Some of y'all, the reason why you can't lose weight and keep it off is because of your kids. It's not actually because of your kids, but let's just pretend for a minute that it is. Let's talk about it as if we're still fully believing the lie that it is all about your kids and nothing but your kids, and that's the full and complete and total reason why you can't be successful. Let's just entertain that for a moment, and then we'll rip it apart universally. So here's the thing with kids. How many hours a day should you spend with your kids? Have you ever thought about that? What are your boundaries with your kids? Or do you not have boundaries with your kids? What does that teach your kids when you have no boundaries? It teaches them that boundaries aren't necessary. It doesn't teach them how to follow them. Did you know it's your job as a parent to teach your kids how to follow boundaries? It's also your job to teach your kids how to set boundaries. So you need to set boundaries by setting some damn boundaries. And you need to let your kids have boundaries with you too. The reality is why some of y'all are overweight is because you got no boundaries with your kids. You have no boundaries. None. Look, I'm not saying I was blessed with wonderful parents. I was very lucky. A lot of people were not. Many people out there had garbage parents. I mean, some of your parents were just garbage human beings, the way they chose to live their life. They were incredibly narcissistic, self-absorbed, and selfish. And they completely neglected you and put you in situations you shouldn't have been in because they were completely absent. They were a babysitter at best. Yes, some of y'all had that. Some of y'all did. I did not. I had parents that were there. Sure, were there things I could complain about from my parents? Yes, just like anybody complain about everything from their parents. But you got to always remember, your parents are doing the best they know how. And unfortunately, some of these garbage parents, they didn't know how to do much, probably because their parents didn't teach them much better. But sometimes people have good parents and kids just turn out to be garbage human beings because sometimes that just happens. So for whatever reason, though, we all end up with parents with varying different degrees of dissatisfaction, but almost all of us have at least a little degree of dissatisfaction. Some of you have total dissatisfaction. And then you go off and you have kids and you don't have a clue how to be a parent. You have your upbringing to look to for all the little things that nobody talks about on how you handle it. The other thing that tends to happen, though, is kids are needy. I mean, they're needy little buggers. Like, they're completely unreliable, totally do not contribute to the house in any way, and they're just big old takers and eaters, and that's not a problem. That's what kids are. That's what they do. They're these completely uncivilized little worms that we bring into the world, and we need to civilize these children into fully baked adults somehow at some point in time and then send them off into the world. That's a tall order. That's a lot of work. It'd be very easy to completely lose yourself in needing to raise these children and turn them into civilized human beings. The problem is some of you all are actually failing at turning your children into civilized human beings. And you're saying that's why you can't take care of yourself. You're calling that parenting. Like, think about this. When you don't have any boundaries with your kids don't know about boundaries. Again, remember, I'm about to rip all this apart here in a minute and just completely show everything how I'm saying doesn't make any sense because that makes this fun. With the children that have no boundaries, they will take up all your time. They're going to need this. They're going to need that. They're going to make mistakes because they're kids and they don't know any better. And they're going to come to you to bail them out. And now you're going to have, because their mismanagement in their life, because they're kids, you're going to have to come bail them out and solve it for them. But did you ever stop and think and consider that sometimes the right answer is to let them clean up their own damn mess? Like, you made that mess. You fix it. No, I can't do that. I can't do that. They're my children. I have to bail them out of the mess. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't bail them out of messes. I'm saying you shouldn't bail them out of messes 100% of the time. When should you let your children sit in their own mess and clean it up their own damn selves so that they learn to stop making the mess? When? Where is that line? Again, remember, every topic, not all of these apply to you. Some of y'all don't even have kids. Some of y'all have kids and you don't have a problem. Your kids, you never use them as excuses. None of this is a big deal. Just like the job thing. Some of y'all, this don't matter. Remember, I got 3 more. Maybe one of those will apply to you. But so if this applies to you, listen up. If it doesn't, listen in and have fun with it. But those of you with kids, I have seen many, many people use their kids as the reason why I can't get movement. And why? Oh, because my kids needed this, and this. And here's what's really fun. Every time a lot of times I'll skirt past it. But if I'm in a one-on-one setting or in one of my smaller group settings, we'll then say, well, what specifically were you doing? And it's amusing to find how there's actually a lot of times the answer is like, what would have happened if you just didn't help? Like, what if you just weren't there? And you know what the answer is a lot of times? Well, they probably would have figured it out. It's like, okay. So are you helping them to make your kids feel better, or are you helping them to make you feel better? A lot of times parents are using it to the kids. They're parenting the way they want because they want to feel better about themselves. The kid don't know any other way. They don't know how you were raised. They weren't there. They don't know what it felt like. They weren't there. And every parent is trying to prevent their kid from living the horrors they lived growing up. We're all trying to be pattern and cycle breakers, but it's tremendously difficult to do that. But let's now show you why this whole kids with no boundaries thing doesn't make sense. Within a home, mom and dad are king and queen. This isn't a democracy. This is a dictatorship. You're the king and you're the queen. And nobody in your kingdom gets a vote unless you say they get a vote. And you can rescind your vote at any moment. At any moment, you can be like, you don't get a vote anymore. No, Chris, you're supposed to run your house and everybody gets a voice. These are children. They don't understand how the world works yet. Yes, you should give them a vote and help them learn how to make votes. But sometimes people make stupid decisions. And sometimes children can be wildly immature. So maybe sometimes they don't get a vote. And one of the areas they maybe shouldn't get a vote on is that you get to have some time just for you. Consider what you're modeling for your children when you don't make your self-care a priority and you demonstrate it to them. Because you know, your kids aren't going to grow up doing what you said. They're going to grow up modeling what you did, what you do, and what you say. And so a lot of you, what you're doing is you're letting your kids consume everything about your life. You're letting your job consume everything about your life. You're letting the needs of your spouse consume everything about your life. You're letting all of that consume everything about you. And then your kid's growing up not knowing any better, and they're going to go off and do the exact same thing. And it's going to be your fault because you didn't teach them a better way. Some of you, your kids will figure it out in spite of the fact you taught them how not to do it. But the reality is your kids are going to grow up and they're likely going to do what you do. Not what you said, what you do. And so if you don't demonstrate taking time for yourself and let them see it and feel it. Sorry, honey, I cannot help you tonight. I got to go take care of my movement for the day. When I get back, I'll sit down and I'll help you with this. No, I want it now. They're children, remember? They're wildly emotional. But they're going to notice. that you prioritize taking care of yourself. And then you're going to show up like, okay, I'm ready to help you now. No, I wanted to do it earlier. It's like, sorry, I'm ready to do it now. We're going to do it now. Your job is to teach your kids how to prioritize time through your actions. Many of y'all, what you're doing is speaking so loudly, no one can hear what you're saying. And it is so important that if you have kids and you are using them as the reason why you can't do things, you need to stop and go look in the mirror and say, am I maybe failing at setting effective boundaries around my kids? Am I maybe failing to put my needs up there with the needs of everybody else? Am I maybe failing to demonstrate that self-care is important, as important? Am I maybe failing to demonstrate that by me taking care of myself, it empowers me to show up as a better mom or a better dad, and I am in fact harming my children by not being my best self? Is it possible you're doing that? Again, for some of y'all, none of this applies. We got 3 more. But if you're using your kids are not an excuse. Because guess what? People that have no kids somehow seem to find some other excuse to say they don't have time. I'm not saying kids don't take a tremendous amount of time. Of course they do. I'm not saying a job doesn't take a tremendous amount of your time. Of course it does. But what I'm saying is, unless you find some time for you and stand at the gate as the guard saying, no, you cannot have this sacred personal care time, life is going to come rip it from your fingers and not give it back. You have to go take it back. If you have given away your self-care time, life is not likely to show up and hand it to you. Not unless it pays a price that you probably didn't want to pay. You got to go take it back. You got to take it back. Now let's move on to the third one. Now, before I do, if you like the podcast, and if you've been finding this sort of tough in your face love this week, a little bit your style, please be sure to follow the podcast on whatever podcasting platform you're on. And if you're on Apple Podcasts, I would love to invite you to leave a written review of the podcast. It does get in front of more people. And definitely, if you find any episode to be helpful, please consider sharing it on your social media platform. Let's talk about the third thing that people do. This one's fun. So many people say they don't have time to be losing weight and working on themselves because they're caught up helping others. They're caught up helping others. What I find funny is usually this person, they're caught up helping others trying to do something they've never done or they have not done, or not always, but many, many times. Many people are trying to help their kids get their life figured out, help their besties get their life figured out, help their coworkers get their life figured out, help their mom get their life figured out. But if we were to go, wait a minute, how about you or your life? Have you gotten your self-care and your wellness and your health all taken care of? No, you're a hot mess. You're a hot mess, some of y'all. You ain't doing nothing about it. And I can't take care of myself because I have to go be there for everybody else. Interesting. You're like a business consultant, right? You're out there helping other business owners actually do stuff, but you don't ever have any skin in the game. So if it goes wrong, it's not, well, hey, I wasn't doing it. If they'd have done exactly what I said, they would have worked. Very different than when you go actually start your own business. And now it's all on you. If it wins, it's on you. If it fails, it's on you. Many of y'all, you think you're the ultimate best help giver out there for everybody else. Okay, if you're so damn good at it, why are you fat? Why are you out of shape? Why are you overweight? Why are you unhealthy? Why are you unhappy? If you're so damn good at giving help to your kids, to your spouse, to your friends, to your coworkers, to your neighbor down the street, to your buddies at church, if you're so damn good at it, how come you have not figured your life out yet? Maybe some of y'all need to stop trying to act like you know what you're doing and stop trying to help each other. And instead you need to start going, maybe I need to go prove to myself that my advice is actually followable. Many of y'all, you got great advice. It's just not doable because you haven't gone and done it yourself. Look, we're all hypocrites. I'm hypocrite number one. I'm not saying you shouldn't help people unless you got everything down perfect. I ain't saying that. What I'm saying is, what if you're not ever spending time on yourself because you keep blaming the time that you need to work on yourself on taking care of others? Is it possible that you're just running away from facing your own inability, your own lack of ability, your own not good enoughness, by going and just diving into everybody else's problems. Because the moment you turn and start working on yourself, you're going to come face to face with your own limitations where you're actually not as great as you think you are. And you don't want to know that because your precious ego can't handle it. Some of y'all, that's the case. Again, this one might not apply to all of you. Some of you, this isn't a problem. We got 2 more. Maybe one of those will get you. Maybe none of them this week will get you. Maybe none of these are a problem for any of you, but I know it's a problem for some of you. And for some of y'all, because I talked to some of y'all, you are not getting the body and life of your dreams, and you are saying it is because you are too caught up helping your family, helping your friends, and helping your community, when all you're really doing is getting so caught up in everybody else's stuff as a way of avoiding dealing with yourself. You are avoiding facing the mirror, because if you created the time to work on yourself, you would then have to go to the mirror and look at yourself and go, wow, I really need to level myself up. I've got some really poor principles that need to be adjusted. We'll get back to that one. Let's actually move on to number 4, and then we'll tie it back in with number 5. Number 4. So the reason why some of y'all, the reason why you're not getting the life that you need, it's not because you are choosing to spend all your time dealing with other people's problems, not because you are choosing something, but rather because you are allowing someone to do all the choosing for you. Some of you, this is, I buried this one later in the episode. This is the one that is the toughest to talk about every single time, because it feels like a topic people think you shouldn't talk about. And I'm about to talk about it because I don't give a fuck. Some of y'all, the reason why you are not making progress, and it's a big old lie, is you have an overbearing and controlling spouse. Some of y'all, your spouse dictates so many things about your life. And if your spouse wasn't there, you would do it different. And you're only doing it this way because you're worried about your spouse. Look, you're in a relationship. It's a partnership. You got to be working together. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying your spouse and you should not have opinions on how things are working. I'm not saying any of that. I am saying that if you are using your spouse as your excuse, it is only one of 2 things. Number 1, your spouse is controlling. If your spouse is actually controlling you so much that you cannot take care of yourself, there is a major, major problem with that relationship. It might be you, it might be your spouse, it might be both of you. I don't know. That's not my lane. I just know if being with your spouse is causing your health to decline, and being with your spouse makes it where you can't improve your health, that is a problem. And you need to be dealing with it. Like, you can't be like, I got a great marriage. What are you talking about? You are getting sicker and sicker every year. No, it's not. Now, again, maybe your spouse is great, but your job is terrible, and that's the reason why. I'm assuming the job isn't the reason. I'm assuming your kids isn't the reason. There are many people I talk to, when I talk to them for why they can't make the progress, they cite their spouse as the reason. They don't cite their job. They don't cite their kids. They cite their spouse. I'm saying if your spouse is the actual problem, that means it is a problem and you don't got a great marriage and you need to deal with it. You need to go see a marriage therapist. You need to do something. Some of y'all, the answer is you need to get out of the marriage. Oh, but I've been married to him for 20 years. I can't do it. What will people think? Not a good reason. Now let's talk about the second one, though. Many people say their spouse is the reason, and their spouse isn't. Oh, I got to do all this for my wife, for my husband. I've had many a person ask this, and I ask them, did your spouse actually ask you to do this? Well, no, I just feel like they're going to want it. Okay. What do you think would happen if you didn't? Would they be mad? Well, no, probably not. Like, if you went and asked them, would you mind if I didn't do this? Would they get upset? A lot of people are like, no, they'd probably be okay with it. It's like, okay, why are you doing it then? Why are you doing it then? Sometimes you care about something way more than your spouse does. Way more. Sometimes your spouse doesn't even give a damn. They truly could not care any less whether you do it or not. And yet you blame it as the reason why you don't have any time or attention or energy to take care of yourself. Let's bring it back to the kids. Some of y'all, what you do is you blame everything on your spouse so that you can avoid facing yourself in the mirror and going, hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. Thanks, Tay-Tay, for coming up with that line in that song. Great line. Seriously, though, many a person, if your spouse is actually the problem Hi, you're still the problem because you're not dealing with it. Why? Why are you not dealing with it? If your spouse is actually a toxic, controlling person, why are you with them? Why are you not fixing this? Why? You don't got to sign up for a lifetime of being controlled and manipulated your entire life. Some of y'all, though, that isn't the problem. You say it is, but it isn't. Some of y'all, it's actually you. It's all you. You made it all up in your own head. And you're doing it because you have to avoid looking in the mirror. Same thing with the kids. Same thing with the job. If you haven't noticed, there's a recurring trend with these. We use these excuses of, I have this because of my spouse. What are you not going and acknowledging in the mirror? What is it? Sometimes we don't want to face that, hey, you're too afraid of making a mistake and failing publicly. So you're just going to make sure you never fail due to your own fault. Oh, no, it's my spouse. They made me need to do this. Really? Let me tell you a fun story that's happened because of the demographic of the people I work with. It's typically between 40 and 60s. Retirement actually is a thing that comes up pretty often. It's kind of been fun over the last 3 years to see how often that's come up. It's a noticeable number of times. And what's been fascinating is to see when a spouse retires, how sometimes all of a sudden that changes things by taking away an excuse. Oh, my spouse needed all these things because he was working or she was working, and then they stopped. And it's like, oh, we got all the free time back. Why are you still not doing this? Oh, it was me. Or here's another fun one. This one's a real fun one. A person's spouse goes on a GLP-1. Oh my gosh, this has happened several times. Person's constantly blaming their food problems on their spouse's eating habits, and then their spouse goes on a GLP-1, and their spouse doesn't want to eat all of a sudden very much, and the person's still eating. It's like, oh, we can't blame your spouse. Turns out you've been blaming your spouse the whole time, and it was just you. It was you the whole time, and you were just saying it was your spouse because you didn't want to acknowledge it was you. You didn't want to say no to the food. You wanted to stop into the fast food joint. You wanted to go get the ice cream. But you let your spouse bring it up. Oh, well, my spouse tempted me. It's their fault. What are you talking about? You could have said no. You could have said no, but you didn't. You could have just said the magic phrase that gets you out of everything. No, thanks. I don't want that. Would you like to get some ice cream? No, thanks. I don't want ice cream. You don't say that. Oh, well, maybe a little bit. Oh, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me, good sir. Madam, don't tempt me with some ice cream in a good time. And of course, what happens? You know exactly how that's going to go. You're getting ice cream in a good time. But instead, you can be like, no, don't tempt me with ice cream. Let's just jump right to the good time, good sir, madam. Like, you don't need the ice cream. You could just say, I don't want it, but you don't say that. Oh, well, I don't want to make my spouse feel bad. They want to get the ice cream and I don't. And I don't want to make them feel bad. If I said no and they want to get it and I don't want to do that, I have to say yes. That's a bunch of bull fucking shit. No, you do not. No, you do not have to say yes. You don't. That's why I find it funny when a person's spouse goes on a GLP-1 and suddenly they don't want to eat anymore. And now their spouse isn't tempting them. And they're like, oh, well, I find I'm still eating all these foods anyway. So let's just assume if your spouse is a problem, is actually a controlling, overbearing individual, you need to be seeing a therapist. You need to be working on marriage therapy. You need to be actively working the problem. If you're not going to be willing to actively work the problem, let's just assume you're the problem then. And why don't you go work on that? And that's all you can control anyway, because even if your spouse is the problem, all you can work on is you. All you can control is you. And this leads to the fifth one, the reason why people find themselves stuck so much. They have bad principles.